Hi guys, Nick Bosco here, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Sijara Eubanks. She's going to be fighting Ketlen Vieira on UFC 253 this Saturday night, September 26th on Fight Island. We're going to talk about getting to Fight Island, training during the coronavirus, and a lot of other fun stuff, and it's a really fun interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, if you could just please subscribe to the channel and like the video and share it with your friends if you can, I really appreciate it. Thanks guys. How's Abu Dhabi?
Oh, it's amazing. It's I'm having a blast. It's a beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful country. Yas Island. We're kind of stuck on Yas Island, but the service is immaculate, and I'm having a great time.
Nice. I mean, I saw some of your Instagram stuff and the like by the pool and all that stuff. It looked awesome.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. And we went to the beach earlier, so I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff to do. It's been great.
I'm in New York, so I'm like close to by where you are usually, but it was freezing here today, so I'm like so jealous of you. There was like frost on my lawn this morning. I woke up and I'm like, no, this is not supposed to be happening yet.
It's too soon. I've got word from back home that it's cold. Everyone's like, yeah, bring your jacket back because it's gonna be cold when you get back. I'm like, oh my god.
So I'm super jealous. But yeah. So how was the trip over and everything? How was the flight, and how did the UFC handle everything?
UFC's been handling it immaculately, honestly. So the trip over, I always tease because they fly as coach usually, and so I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be like in a tuna can for 15 hours. I'm like stressed. And then I heard we were on Etihad Air, and I've flown Etihad Air before, and I'm like, okay, even their economy is nice, so we should be okay. And I get to the airport, and the lady's like, we have you in first class, and I was like, shh. I was like, hey. So they put like most of the fighters, especially on the main card, got first class, and then everyone else got business, and the coaches got economy. But the whole flight front to back was very comfortable. And I got like a little cabin in first class. I mean, and probably I was telling my girlfriend back home, probably the most comfortable 15 hours on a plane I've ever had. So yeah, it was nice. The service was great. The food was good. The seat laid back into a bed, so it felt like I was in Abu Dhabi in no time.
Nice. And what about like quarantine? Did you have to stay in your room for a little while after you got there, or how did that work out?
Yes. So first I had to leave Jersey, flew to Vegas, and had to do a 24-hour quarantine. Then I had to fly to Abu Dhabi and we had to do a 48-hour quarantine. This one was a little bit more strict. We had to stay in our rooms. We couldn't like roam the hotel or anything like that. But they brought everything to us. They had meals prepared already. I bought a video game right before I left, so I have a Nintendo Switch, so that helped. But it was pretty smooth. I'm kind of used to the quarantine process by now. And then once they let us out, we've been free to go around basically the whole little mile area outside the hotel as well.
I have to ask, what video game are you playing?
So I'm playing Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay. Because my kids just got me on the Switch too, and I'm playing Animal Crossing. I don't know if you play that or heard of it. I'm addicted to it now. I was like, thank you so much for getting me involved in this, and now I can't get off of it. And they're like, can we have our Switch back? I'm like, no.
No, okay. So you're like the fifth person that's told me about Animal Crossing. But I can't download any more new games on here. But when I get back, I'm definitely going to download Animal Crossing. So everybody keeps telling me about it. So I have Mario Kart, but I haven't played it. I've been playing Zelda, and I'm definitely going to look at Animal Crossing when I get back now.
Definitely do. How is it like getting on the new time schedule? Because you're going to be fighting at like probably like 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning or something like that?
Yeah, so I believe the main card starts at 6 a.m. out here in the it's bizarre, the time schedule. It's really hard to adjust to, especially because I went from East Coast to I was at West Coast, went back home for 2 days, back West, back like I have no idea, like it's like 10 something here. It's been a challenge to adjust to, so I've just kind of taken the approach that I just sleep whenever. I just stopped trying to figure out like what time is it back home? When should I sleep? Like when I'm tired, I just pass out for like 6 hours at a time. And then I get up, I do some things. I'm like, all right, I'm tired again. I sleep for like another 6 hours because it's been a little bit too challenging to try to figure out like when should I wake up to prepare for Saturday? Like, so I just sleep when I can. But it is weird. Like I just woke up from like a 7-hour nap, and now it's 10 o'clock here. So who knows when I'll go back to sleep.
Nice. And who'd you be able to bring with you to the fight? Who's going to be like in your corner?
I got Ryan Kafaro on my corner. He's been my Muay Thai coach for really a long time, and he's been in my corner for like the last 4 fights or something like that. Unfortunately, my other 2 cornermen couldn't make it. Mark Henry's back home. He had to handle, he's got his pizza shop, so he couldn't leave for that long. And then Shorty is my other guy, and he's actually fighting on Thursday in Bahrain, which isn't too far from here. But by the time he's done with his fight and flies into the island, his quarantine would be too long, and he wouldn't be able to corner me. So we just had to tell him no. So it's just me and my cornerman Ryan. We're just doing the 2 of us, assassin style.
All right. I mean, I guess that's something when you're taking a short notice fight, right? Like, what did you say to everybody? You're just like, I'm going to take this fight next week, and you guys like, who can make it?
So the crazy thing is, I had an hour to figure out who I was going to take. They they called me on Tuesday night, and I had to be on a plane to Vegas by like Wednesday. My wheels were in the air by 8 a.m. So I had to be like, okay, who wants to go to Abu Dhabi like tomorrow, like now? And so Ryan's like, me, I'll go. And Shorty was totally down, but he just, by the time he communicated with the UFC, like he'd be flying in from Bahrain, they told him no. And I called a few other guys to see if I can get a second, but a lot of people just couldn't go to Abu Dhabi on an hour's notice. So, it's cool.
So the UFC contacted you for this fight?
My management. But yeah, somehow that communication happened. So my manager called me, but I'm assuming they contacted each other in some way.
Yeah. So did you go, like, how quickly did you make the decision? Because you just got off of a fight. Were you just like, oh yeah, sure. And also, did going to Fight Island have any like effect on that? Like, were you like, I want to go there?
Yes. Okay. So so I had told my manager right after my fight with Alvilia that I wanted to fight again. I liked the momentum. And he was like, when do you want to fight? I was like, November, because I'm cornering Blonde Fighter in Abu Dhabi on the 17th. So I kind of had the Fight Island itch scratched already. So I was like, like November, December. He was like, okay, cool. Then he calls me back an hour later, and he tossed a couple ideas around, and he was like, hang on. And he calls me right back. He goes, okay, I got a great opportunity. Like, how about Ketlen Vieira Fight Island in 10 days? I was like, hell yeah, all right. Especially because we were kind of in the middle of contract negotiations, so I knew the money was going to be good. So I was like, hell yeah, like, absolutely. I said it like that. And so that didn't take long. And even though I knew I was coming to Abu Dhabi to corner, I thought it didn't really process in the moment, but I was like, yeah, I would love to fight on Fight Island. Why not? It's a lot different than cornering. And then after I had said yes, it took me like an hour, and I was like, man, that'll be cool because I've done Jacksonville, the Apex, and now to be Fight Island, I'll have hit the trifecta. So I had kind of already said yes, but I was like, that's an even cooler reason also.
Yeah. And speaking of your last 2 fights, they were a little crazy. You were supposed to be fighting in Brooklyn, then you got changed like real quick, and then you had to, so that was like a mess. And then your last fight was a bunch of different opponents, but that was a mess. So are you hoping for like just smooth sailing from now until Saturday?
Not even hoping, just like technically this one's a mess. I got it on 10 days notice, so already. Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. I guess that's been kind of the pattern of the year. So it hasn't bothered me. It's kind of, I don't know if the adversity is maybe helping me in some kind of way, but maybe hopefully smooth sailing from here on out. But like I said, as long as me and homegirl make it to the cage, that's all I care about. And let me knock on that, because I said that about Carol Rosa. She didn't make it. So
did you change up your training at all, like with having to like deal with all these last minute changes? Do you like change your mindset or your actual training and just be like, I am going to deal with whatever comes at me in the moment?
I kind of had to change my mindset with that way back in April when the first COVID hit. And I think a lot of people have had to deal with changing their mindsets with this whole pandemic. People like from all walks of life have had to kind of deal with changes and having to adjust their normalities. So when they first bumped me in Brooklyn, I just kind of committed to myself then. Like I just made a mental commitment to myself that no matter what happens, I know I'm going to get a fight. I know I'm going to do well. And no matter who it is or where it is or how it is, I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna turn this thing around. And it's been rock and roll. It's kind of been snowballing since, like the sort of back and forth with Sarah, and then we come back, and I had 3 different opponents by the time I got to Villas. She was like my 3rd. Now I'm doing a short notice here, so I'm almost kind of enjoying the slipping of the punches, the changes that are coming. So yeah, I kind of made that mental switch a couple of months ago. And as far as like my actual physical training differences, they've kind of adjusted the whole time, because when we were preparing for Sarah Morris, we were in the smack dab middle of the quarantine. Like we were locked down. The gyms weren't even open. So me and Claudia were training together in her garage. So we had to adjust that. Then we kind of had a little bit more freedom coming into my last 2 fights, but still some adjustments. But I think the adjustments I made in COVID, I kind of rolled over. Like I was only doing 1-a-day training during the COVID, and my body felt so good doing it. I was normally doing 2 or 3-a-day trainings. Once we got out of the lockdown, I was like, guys, I think I'm going to keep this 1-a-day training. I just do once a day, and I train for like 2.5, 3 hours sometimes. And I rest the rest of the day. And it's been so far so good, I can say.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the training too, because I'm in New York, so it's close to where you're training. When the gyms only opened up like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So I was just wondering like what you were doing in the meantime, like you said, I guess training at people's houses, right?
Yeah, well, in New Jersey, the governor had given a pass for professionals a little while back. And so you could open the gym if you were a professional athlete, and there was a limited capacity. So we were actually in the gym before everyone else was. I can't remember the exact date, but we had access legally. And Nick Catone is where most of us in New Jersey go to spar and train at. And he was really diligent about making sure he was following all the rules and staying up to date on all the changes. And it's like the first day that they said professionals could train, he was letting us back in based on those capacities. So we were in the gym for a while.
That's good. And what about like outside of fighting and training and stuff? Because people don't take into account, like they think they see fighters and they just see them like in the cage that one day. They don't take into account all the stuff you have to deal with outside with nutrition and stuff. Like, I don't know about you, but like the stores by me didn't have like any like produce and stuff like that here. You have to deal with, children. I know you have a daughter, right? And like going back to school, I don't know. She's too young to be in school.
She's in daycare, so daycare school. So actually we were planning on maybe looking for a house in Vegas. So my girlfriend and my baby had gone to Vegas and schools were open there. So she actually had started going to school. But with everything going on in my last couple of fights, they ended up coming back home. So she had like a little window of daycare, but she's back home now because in Jersey, they just opened up, but we have to transfer her registration back over. But she'll be back in school soon. Thankfully, we never had a problem with food or groceries where I am in Jersey. I don't know if it's just because the area I was in, it's just not super busy like it is closer to the city. Because I had shot into the city once and I saw the line at Whole Foods going like down a block and a half and around the corner. And I was like, thank God I'm not in New York. I mean, because the lines in the city were insane. So I thankfully didn't have a problem with that. And also most of the UFC fighters we have access to Trifecta. So they send us food. And they had slowed down the supply for a little bit because they were only sending it to fighters who are in camp. But I've been in camp most of the time. So they were sending me food basically the whole time. So I was able to get the healthy foods that I needed. And we just were lucky enough. There was a little bit of a short toilet paper supply for a second. We did have to like use paper towels for a little while, but thankfully, thank God that was the most adversity we had as far as supply.
Yeah, because like it's been rough. I mean, my kids are upstairs right now doing their schoolwork, and I was like, okay, be quiet for 30 minutes. People don't think like what's going on outside of the fighting.
No, yeah, thank God my daughter doesn't have homework because it'd probably be really hard. I haven't been home I've been home in very short bouts this whole summer, basically, going into the fall. And thank God she doesn't have homework. So she's been spending a lot of time with her cousin. So that's good. She's getting her interaction there.
How is it fighting without anybody there and not having your family be able to come, not having fans at all in the arenas and stuff like that?
It's been an interesting change of pace. The first time I walked out in Florida, I kind of started like I looked around to be like, I was like, oh yeah, like nobody's here. It's been an interesting change of pace. My family loves coming to my fights. My daughters come to all my fights except for one. Outside of COVID, the only one she missed was Mexico City. So this has been interesting. My brother and my dad, like they all come to my fights all the time. My cousins, so they've been kind of disappointed that they can't be there physically. But it's just kind of a roll with the punches, Yeah, it's not too disappointing because it's just such a bigger goal to focus on. But I do hope that obviously soon when everything's safe, we can get fans back in because I know my family's chomping at the bit to come watch me fight live.
Do you have any plans of trying to get like on another card while you're there on Fight Island? Because I know that the UFC, they've done that before. They're like, all right, while you're here, you might as well like go again.
You know what? Somebody else asked me that. I don't know if there's any other bantamweight females on the card. But I kind of briefly thought that, but I like to not think too far past my next bout. But I kind of was like, I probably would. I probably would if the opportunity presented itself. But also I'm cornering Blonde Fighter on the 18th here. I mean the 9th, what was it? No, the 17th here. And I told her right after I was supposed to fight Carol Rosa. And I was like, all right, I got to come back and help her prepare. She's fighting Jessica Andrade, and we're each other's like main sparring partners. I was like, I got to get back to Blonde Fighter and help her spar. And then my fight got pushed back. And I was like, okay, I'm going to come back and help her spar, help her corner. And then, then I was like, okay, I'm leaving for Abu Dhabi. And she was like, girl, do your thing. So I don't know. We'll see. We were kind of, me and my cornerman were kind of joking. Like, that'd be crazy if they offered you a fight on the same card as Blonde Fighter. Then we could just stay. And I was like, if it happens, we'll see. I'll probably say yes.
It'll work out. Yes. That's cool. And then also you just signed a new deal with the UFC, right?
Yes. Very happy about that one.
Do you think, like, as far as ranking goes, which we know, like, maybe doesn't mean so much, but do you think that all these taking short notice fights is, like, going to help you rise up in the rankings quicker? Because some people are going to have to be waiting around.
Yeah, I think so. And that's kind of the goal. Excuse me. My goal's been to get to the top. You know, my goal is to be the champion. My goal is to get the belt. And that's what most of our goals are. But that's what my goal's been for like 10 years now. And, you know, I kind of hit a little roller coaster there. But now that we've got the momentum, I kept telling my manager, I tell Dana, I tell Mick, whenever they'll listen, like, let me get that momentum, because I do believe that fighting more frequently, especially in these times, a lot of girls are out. Lena Landsberg like just announced that she's pregnant. Sarah McMahon's been out for a little while. I think she just keeps getting delayed. Aspen Ladd's out with an injury, and some people just can't fight in these COVID times. Amanda's fighting at 45. I was like, it just feels right. So I'm just keep chipping and keep fighting as often as I can, because I do think it's gonna skyrocket me a little faster.
And also, it's kind of sad, but, like, in these times, like, people have short memories. So, like, if you haven't fought in a long time, it's, like, kind of you just, like, get pushed to the back of the line, you know? You have to keep yourself up there, you know, making exciting fights and all this other stuff. Like, you have to be, like, keep going. Absolutely. You have to be out of sight, out of mind. So you got to be in their face. And same thing for even the exposure when it comes to, like, media coverage and social media. You know, when you don't fight for a while, people forget about you. They don't want interviews. They don't tweet about you. They don't repost your Instagram. So yeah, I've seen my interviews spike. I've seen my social media spike. So that helps too, because when you're in the public eye, UFC notices that as well. So yeah, it's been helpful. Well, thank you so much for this. I know you just woke up. Maybe you want to go back to sleep. I don't know. You said that the time's all messed up if you're going to train. We'll see. Whatever, but thank you so much for hopping on here with me. I really appreciate it. Oh, awesome. Thank you for having me anytime. Thank you. Great interview. Appreciate it.